Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next speaker on stage. Amey Neckar, Google developer expert in payments.
Hi everyone. I hope there are no sleepyheads. So yeah, again starting with something related to AI again, because AI is the buzzword this year. So in this talk, we will be talking all about money. I hope this is topic of interest for everyone around here, and everyone will be interested in this talk. So first of all, let's meet Harry. I guess all of you might be, at least in the childhood, might have visited the wizarding world at least once. So when we think about Harry, Harry is a software wizard. And to survive in the modern world and this era, Harry also thinks about code and all of these things to survive. Now, Harry always thinks that AI is not magic, but AI is simply if and else. AI is something written in if and else loops, and those loops run, and we get some output. And it is nothing magical, but the practices used to be there since a lot of traditional years. And sometime when Harry does online shopping, he always gets stuck with this kind of particular pop-ups. And not only while payment, but in general, we face lot of this problem multiple times, right? So how many of you have faced this particular issue? So isn't that frustrating? At least for me, it's a lot of frustration. So when I'm especially trying to pay online and this particular pop-up pops up and it asks me to select random images, and while being a human also, like I'm not able to select all the images in the first attempt, like very frustrating, at least for me. And but why this particular thing appears, especially when I'm trying to pay online? I am ready to provide my card information, I am ready to provide all my details and anything which they want, but still this pop-up is there. So this is to avoid automated scripts or credential stuffing to secure our payments. This is also there to avoid brute forcing attempts. So in most of the online payments, so there are some automated script or someone tries to spoof our OTPs or our credential and brute force that particular stuff in order to access our sensitive information. And also it is most of the times the recurring transactions are set on our credit cards or from our bank accounts, and we are not even aware of that. Because if the transaction is of smaller amount, like deducting for example 100 LKR every single minute, then we will not even receive the SMS or the notification from bank because the amount is very small and negligible. So bank will also think that we are doing any normal transaction of very small amount. So these kind of recurring transactions can also be set using your details in these particular scenarios. Also, there are some things like exploring vulnerabilities. So the developer can also, some or the other times, we also make some mistake and some or the other parts are missing. So that's why the hackers can find those vulnerabilities and spoof the user data. So a lot of these things are happening in all of the world, and lot of sensitive information related to payments is being compromised. So that's why this reCAPTCHA service is introduced by Google in payment technologies as well. So if you are using Google Wallet APIs, this reCAPTCHA services will be readily available. So this is to make sure that when the user is trying to pay, the user is again secured. So this is something existing service by Google. It is already protecting more than 6 million websites worldwide. And this is, Google finds it as a very secure way of payment, a very secure way of identifying a user and avoid bot attacks. So why this particular thing in payments? Because Google Pay API is being widely used in a lot of countries. Google Pay button or Google Wallet APIs are also being used. But there is no such particular thing to identify if the user is real. So there are some two-factor authentication methods, but those are again costly, time-consuming. So not a lot of developers were using those kind of service. So Google introduced reCAPTCHA in payments as well. And if you're trying to pay online and if there is Google Wallet anywhere, not only even Google Pay, but Google Wallet kind of concept is there, then you can see this reCAPTCHA service now on a lot of websites. So this is recently introduced to reduce number of frauds happening in payment industry. Now, how this reCAPTCHA service works? So there is this end user, and then there is customer client, then customer backend, reCAPTCHA, and all of these legs are involved. And when we are clicking on those random pictures, then all of these things are getting triggered in the backend. So that's why it might be taking time some of the other times to verify that I am a human or not. So yeah, so Harry thinks that this is something Ministry of Magic should do something to simplify all of these things and all of this hassle. So here Ministry of Magic can be something like a governing body who is governing all of the online payments done by the users. Now that's why Google is coming up with virtual cards. So virtual cards is something you don't need to store your physical card information everywhere, and no one loves to carry their physical cards each and every time. So that's why virtual cards are introduced. Now, how virtual cards are used? So when you are saving any card information, like most of you might be doing online payments. So whenever you are paying, if you have saved your card details on your Android device or Apple device, and you have the same Google account logged in on your laptop or computer, then when you are trying to pay, you will readily see the card information popping up. Like you will see your saved cards, and you can just click on the card and your details will be pre-filled, right? So this is the convenience all of us love. But at the same time, when the card details are saved, it is not something like our password, which is card is very sensitive information because it involves a lot of money payments. So how this is being secured? So there is a tokenization involved, and all of our card details are tokenized. And this is tokenized in this particular way, like you will be entering your card information only once, and you can use it on multiple devices. Since Google is allowing this service to be used on multiple devices, Google also calls it as a global tokenization. In this global tokenization, you can use the same information on multiple devices, just like your Google accounts. Like I have my Google account logged in, then and I have my Google account logged in on my laptop, then I can sync a lot of services, and I don't need to log into YouTube or any other services again and again and again. But how regulators can take part in it? Because Google is a standalone company, every one of us uses Google in some or the other way. But regulators are someone who is regulating all the payments in that particular country or region. So how regulators can take part in it? So one of the example is, in India, RBI, the regulatory body, has made sure that CVV is no longer a mandatory field. So what is CVV? It is a unique code, like 3 or 4 digit numbers written on back of your card across the globe, where Master, Visa, Diners, Amex is being used. But when the CVV is no longer mandatory, then how the card processing is happening? So we as a consumers, we are trying to enter the details. Then there are merchants, like we are trying to pay on any of the online platforms, like it can be Amazon or anything, or Uber. When we are trying to pay, each and every time, we don't enter our CVV, right? We don't enter the whole card information each and every time when we are trying to pay. We just enter few details, like we enter OTP sometimes, or we enter CVV, and we are good to go. But we don't enter card information each and every time. So just like that, making it more advanced and maybe a one-click solution. So when consumer is entering the card details, then the merchant is getting a call, and merchant is requesting a token. Like card details are stored in the form of token, and merchant is just requesting that particular token. Now merchant will be requesting that token with the acquirer. Like in this case, merchant can be Amazon or Uber. Merchant will request that to the acquiring bank. Like acquiring bank will be some bank related to Amazon or Uber's backend, like where the Amazon will be settling their money into. So Amazon will request that particular token from that particular bank. Now that bank will say, we don't have that sensitive information. So again, they will be going to the next leg, which will be the card network. So MasterCard, Visa, or RuPay are some of the leading card networks in Sri Lanka. So they will be getting that information from those particular card networks. Again, those card networks will be like, we don't have the complete information. So again, they will be going for that particular information to the issuing bank, like the bank which issued credit card or debit card to the user. Like we have for example, we have credit card or debit card with the American bank or HDFC bank, some kind of bank our credit or debit card is associated with. So in this particular process, no one is having the whole card information. Like card number is only stored with the issuing bank and rest of the service will be playing with the tokens only. So that's why it is making more secure because your card number is actually not shared anywhere. So if anyone tries to spoof into the system, get all of your card information, again, then they will not be having access to the whole card information and the chances of getting your financial data leaked will be much lesser as compared to it was earlier. Too complicated process, right? So how many of you are not able to digest this all process in the last slide? Everyone seems to be really smart. I was not able to digest it in the first step. So just simplifying it. So these are card networks and which are token issuing platforms. Then token requesters will be all banks, merchants and everything else. And then in the end, the card, that information will flow to the merchant. So I forgot to mention in the start, I have also this kind of Harry Potter symbol and glasses on the top. So anyone who is like to spot the symbol and explain the slide will get some interesting goodies. Really small goodies which you can again use to protect your privacy. Anyone interested? If not, we can skip. We again have some in the next slides. So this is again a QR code to my blog. So I have described this all process in that particular thing, how this is being secured, how the tokens are being passed, whole things are explained in detail in this particular blog. Now, this is again a too complicated process. So Harry thinks that he will visit diagonally and he will just make some offline payments because in online payments, at a lot of steps, either he is asking to verify if he is a human doing a transaction or he is getting blocked at some or the other step because of security reasons. So when he is visiting for offline payments, again, sometimes he is getting the call from his bank because his transaction is getting stuck. So it happens a lot of time when I'm visiting some foreign countries. Usually my card gets blocked and my card company or the issuer calls me asking like, sir, is this actually you trying to do this transaction? Because my usual place of transaction is not in Sri Lanka or Dubai or in any other country. So they always think that I'm not this person trying to do this transaction and someone actually compromised my card and he's trying to do transaction on my behalf. So usually that transaction goes on hold or it gets stuck. And again, AI is everywhere while we are trying to pay, either it's online or offline. So there are some funny incidents. Some of those are happened with me as well. Like if you go to a dentist and dentist removes your tooth and then your credit card declines. Something similar happened with me in hair salon. I got my haircut done and then my card declined. So yeah, some kind of these funny situations happen again because of AI, but we are trying our best to avoid these kind of funny scenarios in everyone's life. So is there actually AI casting spells in all of these things? Or it is something else? Like this was not the thing a couple of years ago, like not all transactions were going on hold. And now most of the transactions are getting regulated. So how exactly this is happening? So there are multiple layers involved. So first thing first is data collection. So all of the companies or all of the legs which were involved in the process I showed earlier, like there are issuing platform, there are card networks, there are a lot of legs involved. At all of these steps, all things are done. Like your data is collected, like not your sensitive information, like your card details or your personal information is stored, but other than that, like your transaction history, how much payment you are making to which particular merchant, all of these things are stored. Then your user behavior, like where I'm making most of the payments. I'm using my cards for online payments or offline payments, or I'm doing most of my transactions sitting at my home or visiting any store, which particular stores I visit. All of this user behavior is tracked. And after that, again, device information. I'm using which device. Is my device updated to the latest OS version? Which operating system I'm using? All of this is tracked. And again, geolocation. So like I explained earlier, if I'm transacting from unusual location, then again my card network will think that I'm not this particular user. So this all of data is collected except your sensitive information, and then it is fed to the ML models. So supervised and unsupervised learning algorithms are there, which run on top of that particular data which is collected, and then the real-time monitoring works. So there are some scoring thresholds set, like for example, I am doing a particular transaction. I am doing it from a different country altogether, but I am doing it online on a merchant which I usually transact with. So I am in Sri Lanka and I am transacting on Amazon, and I usually shop from Amazon. So that transaction might actually go through rather than any physical transaction, card transaction I'm doing in Sri Lanka. The reason is when any transaction is being done, there is a real-time scoring mechanism. So when I'm transacting online on any website, but that website is familiar, my score might be very high. Score might be very low. So it is not that close to the fraud detection scoring mechanism, and it might not cross that threshold. So where I'm working, we are having some threshold set, like 0 to 20 will be very low risk transaction, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80, and if by any chance transactions falls in 80 to 100 risk score, the transaction will be blocked immediately. This is done for the safety of users as well as merchant. So depending on this risk score, all the blocking of the transaction will be done. And again, in blocking, there are two types of blocking. No one will want the transaction to be always automatically blocked. So that's why card companies or networks call us and verify, like, are you the actual person who is doing the transaction? Or they will send us some OTP or some kind of two-factor authentication mechanism will be popped up to actually verify, like reCAPTCHA or biometrics might be asked to actually verify if you are the actual person to doing this particular transaction. So again, we are having some goodies for this slide. Anyone want to explain? Yeah.
The problem we are facing is our banks are suspecting when we do an unusual payment, it's not us, and they are worried about our safety. So they are calling and verifying that it's really us, and it's a tedious task for them and for us. So the solution that you are offering, they are offering is integrating AI for that verification process. So that means they are collecting our data and training AI models based on that data. So the AI models can recognize this is a real payment or suspicious activity.
Good, thank you. So we are having some goodies for you. We can give it now, or I'll hand it over to you later. So now going to the next thing. So this process is too complicated, involving lot of data collection, data processing, and lot of things. So in real life, when we are thinking about transactions, is anyone actually using this kind of complicated processes? So this lot of legs involved. So this might result in payment processing time. Like I'm at a shop and I paid, but the payment is actually processing because a lot of factors are running in the back end and verifying if the transaction is real or not. So to avoid all of this hassle, so there was a survey done by Google Cloud, and this particular survey actually revealed that lot of companies are actually willing to use these kind of particular services in their daily life. So these was financial institutions, and a lot of use cases, they are actually happy or interested to use AI for this particular ease of their life. So leveraging industries for this particular AI in fintech side are banking or insurance sector, and again the payment sector as we discussed before. Now let's take one case study, like how personally my life is made easier, or our life in fintech sector is made easier with Google Cloud and AI. So anti-money laundering is the classic example, and we face a lot of challenges while detecting anti-money laundering cases. So Google Cloud has actually given a really easy solution, like with the single API integration and with the integrating our whole suite with the Google Cloud, we can actually find the risk detection score of that particular merchant, or we can have the robust governance with the latest government policies or alliances for that particular thing. And also it is very easy to use. Our operational cost has also significantly reduced. We don't need to store data on multiple servers, or we don't have to think about storing data on our internal servers and data not flowing offshore. So all the data compliance and regular compliances are also solved with this particular use case. So how many of you actually know anti-money laundering? It is not something which is shown in this photo. It is not like your money is being laundered in the washing machine actually. But it is more something like anti-money laundering cycle is there, whole cycle. So our hard-earned money, which we keep in our bank accounts or anywhere, like we can simply say it is like black money being transferred and again getting converted into white money and getting into the actual cycle or money flow. So all the dirty money is collected, it is placed in some or the other financial system in any or the other way. Then it is transferred globally sometimes or from multiple bank accounts in the same country. And then again it is lended or borrowed from X entity, Y entity, Z entity, multiple entities are involved. And again it is integrated into the financial system by buying some luxury assets or some holidays or donating someone or multiple channels. So this is how some money laundering is working. And if you actually want to trace like $1 million are this is dirty money and or this is actual money and is this actually being integrated into the system. So it is very challenging to find for any financial institution, like is this actually corrupted money or original money and is this actually being integrated into the financial system again. So this complicated process is very difficult to identify. A lot of manual work, operational work was involved. So Google Cloud made that life really easy. They are giving us anomaly detection, risk scoring, and they are also following all the latest regulatory compliances because regulators are very habitual to introducing new laws every now and then. So if you are taking an afternoon nap, when you will wake up, there will be some new laws and policies around your data. So all of these regulatory compliances are being followed with Google Cloud. Then again, fraud detection. So if there are any frauds happening with that particular money, then also that is being marked. And transaction monitoring, like transaction monitoring for each and every merchant across the all financial institution is being done easily with Google Cloud. So this is a use case, like when we want to check like if the merchant is involved in money laundering, then we don't need to do any operational work or any code level thing for this particular thing. So this is using Gemini, and we just need to simply give an input like 3 months since last review and high risk score. We will ask AI, and these are some triggers set like countries or change of employees, and multiple triggers can be set. And once you are clicking on generate the result, you can actually get the sanctions. So when you will ask AI, it will actually go through all the sanction list, latest regulatory compliances, all the sanction list published by all the regulators across the globe. It will refer to the latest news article, blog publications, everything available online. It will scrap all of the data and it will give you result. So this is very easy, and in the end it will also tell you like who has sanctioned this particular merchant. So you don't have to manually go through all of these steps, and you don't have to manually update that data again and again and again, which we actually used to do previously when we used to work on this manually. So before this, we had this goodie slide. So anyone wants to explain what happened here? Yes. Just a second, the microphone is coming.
These are the strategies Google Cloud uses to prevent money laundering. So the first one is anomaly detection and risk scoring and regulatory compliance. So it means the regulators will always put new laws and like that, and they should be always updated. And fraud detection and transaction monitoring. It means monitoring all the merchants in real time.
Okay. I will hand over the goodie to you. Thank you for explaining. So these are some of the actual financial institutions who is using this particular service by Google Cloud. So there are some big names involved. So Deutsche Bank, BlackRock, then again HSBC, DZ Bank. These are some big financial institutions which are using this ready-made service, and they are getting a lot of help. They don't need to do a lot of coding or need a ops team of thousands of people, and they can actually get the latest information on the ease of their fingertips. So it is not reducing the human power required or the manpower or workforce, but it is actually helping financial institutions like us to do this a job of a few hours in few minutes. So now we can actually process more merchants, we can onboard new merchants very easily, and we can also track the existing merchants for the risk and fraud scores in real time. So this is increasing the security by actually making the things easier for the financial institutions. And so how these all things are actually helping my transactions. So when I'm transacting, are these corporate jargons or B2B things are actually helping me? So yeah, like I'm involved while the customer segmentation is being done. Like when I'm transacting, all of these things are undertaking. Then there are some things like dynamic pricing, especially when you are trying to pay via PayPal or Stripe. Then dynamic pricing is there. So you might not notice because the variation might be very different, or it might not be there if you are comparing on two devices, but the dynamic pricing is always there, considering the risk score of the user, how many refunds or chargeback the user is quoting for, and basis on that you will get the dynamic pricing. Also the merchant is involved, like if the merchant is very suspicious or with very high fraud risk or involved in gambling or something, then you will tend to pay the more transactional fees for that particular platforms. Now again, the fraud prevention which we saw, and again in the end there will be settlement and recon, like when my money will be actually settled to the merchant, then again some AI models will be there, like anti-money laundering and all, and if the goodie or the service is already shipped or processed and merchant is found in some or the other malicious practice, then the amount will be refunded to the customer and it won't be settled to the merchant at all. So this is actually helping regulators, consumers, merchants, everyone to safeguard their transaction and save their hard-earned money. So in the end, Harry is convinced that AI is not if-else, but AI is something like magic when it's come to the financial transaction. And that's all from me today. Thank you. This is where we can be connected. And we have hardly few minutes. So in case anyone is having any question, I'll be happy to answer. Yes. Just a second.
Hi. On the anti-money laundering part, like what if a merchant is mistakenly taken into the system as accounted, and what if the merchant really wants to appeal? Is there a process for them on the merchant side?
So again, as I showed earlier, there are two types of transactional blocking. One is automatic and one is flagged for manual review. So if the merchant is again and again coming into the suspicious list, then the transactions will be automatically blocked and refunded, and the merchant will also be blocked from the system. But if it is the first time, AI can also flag some or the other valid merchants as in the anti-money laundering, money laundering list. So that's why it is always verified with the merchant before, or also verified with the local regulators, like this merchant is flagged in other continents or other countries. Should we let the transactions of this particular merchant go in this particular region? So all of these things are verified before blocking any particular transactions, because merchants are also a very important part in financial cycle. So their stakes are also safeguarded.
On the next part, like if this is going to be a wallet type of a way, so in future will it support cryptocurrency walletings also?
So cryptocurrency and everything is not yet supported on Google Cloud as of now, because it is not openly supported, and Google Cloud APIs can also not be readily used for those particular transactions. But there are some financial wallets who are allowing payments from cryptocurrencies. Like you can actually pay via Bitcoin or Ethereum from those particular wallets. If those wallets are integrating these particular services, like if they are integrating reCAPTCHA or something, then those security layers will be automatically added.
Thank you.
I guess our time is up, so I'll be around in case anyone is having any kind of questions, or else we can also connect online. So let's stay connected. Thanks JDG Sri Lanka for inviting me here. It was really interesting to roam around and understand about the financial ecosystem in Sri Lanka, how the payment is happening, and all of these things. Thank you again.
So thank you, Amey, for that wonderful session. Your expertise in showcasing how AI is transforming payments by enhancing security and delivering personalized solutions have been truly enlightening. So to show you our gratitude and to present you with the token of appreciation, now I'd like to call you back over to the stage, and I'd like to invite Mr. Suresh Piris, GDG organizer here in Sri Lanka, over to the stage as well to present Amey with his token of appreciation.